Happy Valentine's Day. I thought I really probably should do one on love on Valentine's Day. I mean, it's a holiday and people spend lots of money on it. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to say, I'm really not sure. I thought, well, we'll just freestyle because that's pretty much what I do on here. One thing I did think about is if I did do this every year, how similar and how different would the things that I say be? And here's why I'm thinking about that. Mark and I on our date night this week were talking about love and talking about it was about relationships and how relationships grow from year to year. We were reflecting on my parents being down and visiting his parents and the dynamics of the different relationships that they have with each other. My dad to my mom, his mom to his dad, and about ours. And it's really, truly about finding somebody, I believe, that you can grow with no matter what. Your concept of love matches, obviously, when you get married, but hopefully your long-term outlook for what that love means to you individually and as a couple continues to be the same. Because it's Valentine's Day, am wearing my grandma's ID bracelet. Well, it's the Friday before Valentine's Day when I'm taping this, but I'll try to post it on Valentine's Day. I used to sit next to her in church and love this because I said, I want to see skinny grandpa and grandma. And what I meant was, check it out, my skinny grandpa and grandma, Fred and Delma. It's actually just skinny grandpa, but it's on grandma's bracelet. They were married for 60-some years. Now that's love. It takes all forms and shapes and sizes, doesn't it? Oh, maybe metaphorically apropos about my symbols here. I have them on. Love takes all shapes, all forms, all kinds of dimensions, but you recognize it and you know it when it happens. I think that's something that people might be surprised if they really took the time to sit down and examine about the nature of love. How dynamic it really is. And I mean dynamic, not in like wow, but dynamic in the science term, like dynamic changing and deepening and even evolving. Mark and my relationship is so different than when we first met. And I'm sure there are many people out there that are like, what happened to Mark and Joy? Well, you know what happened to us? Life. We experienced things together that we couldn't deny. We continued to challenge each other. I think many people, but particularly many people who knew Mark before they knew me, will be surprised to know that he's been the one pulling on many of these things that people think, what the heck's up with Mark and Joy? And not pulling, because we've never wanted to make the other person believe something that we believe, but we haven't come to belief about major topics in the same way and at the same time. That's how our relationship started. I wrote about it in the book. I mean, us being attracted to each other was probably a lot of giving each other permission to explore and be who we are and to question. I mean, we argued about the Bible in some of our very first meetings. Those times the topics were about women in ministry and the inerrancy of the Bible. And it's not that I won anything, because years later here we are sitting down and arguing topics that, if you want to talk about it winning, Mark won. I'm holding back only because those are his stories to tell. I wish he'd tell them. I wish he would take ownership for this new expression of who he is. Oh, he does. It's not that he doesn't. It's just that he grew up not talking about not talking about things that might get people jazzed up. And I have a tendency to be the starter of conversations on difficult topics, because I just have this deep desire and longing for people to talk about it, because I want to know why you think something differently. I do, because if your perspective can make me connect with the world in a bigger and more dynamic and more inclusive way that's authentic and genuine, I want to be there. because I think that's what we're called to do. My faith, the core that's what stayed true forever, is the summing of it up. It's all comes down to this. The greatest of these is love. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. If I'm not loving people that make me uncomfortable, you know what? People who've made me uncomfortable, once I've opened myself up to loving them, no longer uncomfortable. Not at all. And who taught me that lesson best? My son. Holding him on the day he was born and fearing with every fiber of my being that there would be people who would be so uncomfortable around him they wouldn't want to be part of his lives. Awful thought. So he kicked open the door to my heart and my capacity to love like nothing else probably ever could have. And I can never deny that. It's an incredible gift. A gift that makes me know that I'll never be the same. So, to you, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you get to experience love in huge portions, wherever you find it. And I would encourage you to look for it in unexpected places, because it's there. Thank you, Mark. I'm so, so blessed. I need to tell you more often, too. I love you, honey. Happy Valentine's Day.